This
code
conference will
that.
now be recorded.
Thanks.
Sorry.
So would that be a fair statement, Susie, that he doesn't need a variance because it's within?
If it's zoned highway commercial,
Is it, in your opinion?
it is not. In my opinion, it's residential town density, and that's, I have this permit from the first one, and it's zoned RC on here.
Right, but I'm looking at the map, and the map showing it highway. The city announced this highway years ago, so.
I would have to do research on it, because I don't know other than what I've gotten from you.
I could not find, in city language, I'm not sure, but I could not find any motion or anything by the mayor and the commission at that time when it was submitted to the county on the replatting to change the zoning, and I do not believe it exists.
Is this map dated 9/21/11 current?
No,
Could we get a current one?
no, there is none.
So this is current.
Yep, I mean, it's current, but there's changes in there that have not been recorded. We asked for new ones, but.
But on this map, that property is zoned highway commercial. On this map.
I don't have them, but you're saying, so I believe you.
Do you know how many lots there are on that side of Pearl Street?
How many lots, what? The first two were the only ones I knew by record for highway.
Right,
The
but
rest of them went to residential.
do we know that there are 10 lots along Pearl Street there? Can we pull up a cadastral? Somebody have it available to?
Well, we have a bigger map like that on the wall back there. I don't know what we're looking for.
How it's zoned. If it's highway commercial, from what I can tell, that lot
There's
is
no
highway
contest if it's
commercial.
highway commercial.
Right.
Well, half of the North 40 isn't changed. Like this whole section right here.
Okay, I'm interested in this right here.
I'm giving you an example though. So this is all red, but it's not really red. What I'm saying is if they've changed the zoning, we will just have to look into the maps when he rezoned that, or we change the lot sizes around and see if the zoning changed at that time. I do not know.
So as of right now, we don't even know if zoning changed from what we have.
So
in front
we
of
can't
Maria
go by
here.
this.
Yeah,
And what he did was just a lot line adjustment. He made the line from north and south to east and west.
Right.
yes, and it was approved and signed off, and it is still highway commercial land. It is, and it may make your decision easier, but it makes me feel a little foolish that after all this time, I sort of was jousting with windmills. On the applications, those are filled out by me, and rural town density, no one ever questioned it, and I guess I didn't either, but that is neither, it's nothing. The town has never changed the zoning of that land. And therefore, I just request that you think it through and do whatever you wish, and I'll come back again if you want to delay a decision. But the land is highway commercial, and everything built there, including the multi-family dwelling, is within
Can
highway
I go look at the
commercial.
big map?
Certainly.
It's probably not updated either.
Well,
Yeah, the thing that you can't strictly go off. And I'm having recollection of way back on those lots. But it's gonna take, it would take some research. From way back, when Maria owned it, when Marie owned it, she did a zone change. Or applied for a zone change, but it has been so long ago that I can't remember.
so Susie, based on this, why do you believe it is not highway commercial?
Because he's got on his permit residential town density, Art has on the permit residential town density. I mean, he's got it written in his own words here, new residential home on RTD. And these permits were done prior to me being in the zoning
Right.
position. So all I had to go off of these, I couldn't do that. I worked up this second permit that he did, from modular to stick built, and that's it, and I did not even check with residential town density. We'll just have to, if it's, if you're tabling it anyway, we will definitely do some digging here, see what we can find. And as far as the multifamily, you still have to meet criteria for square footage for multifamily, whether it's highway commercial. Multifamily is allowed in RTD also, but you still have to meet the square footage.
But that's not part of this discussion.
No.
No.
Okay.
Bring it up, so I clarified it.
Yep.
Does anyone have a suggested date to reconvene?
Honestly, I don't know if we need to reconvene.
I'm
The
not
ma-
gonna vote, I am not willing to vote on this tonight.
Okay.
But
Well, so I do, I mean, it doesn't matter what's on the permit or the application for the permit. If that property is zoned highway commercial,
That
Then-
needs to be clarified.
Right.
no,
and-
no, I'm saying, if that property is zoned highway commercial, then this whole thing is mute. We don't need to reconvene.
Exactly.
Have the
I
conversation.
agree with Tony on that statement.
So I would propose. No, I'm just talking about.
What about-
So I would propose that, we table, right? Motion to table this discussion until the zoning question is answered. And if it's highway commercial, then we don't need to reconvene. If it isn't highway commercial, if there's documents that says it was changed to residential, then we reconvene immediately to discuss the application for variance.
That makes sense to me.
And to change it, you have to have a town commission,
Oh, you'd
Town
have to go through a
commission.
zoning change, yeah.
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 And
That's not us.
that's fine. Now, I need to continue. I stopped working the second time now on the zoning administrators, saying you gotta stop work. The house is in limbo, of course. I wrote the letter what Nikki asked for. Basically, it states in that letter that the financial risk is mine for continuing, but I'm gonna tell you, if financial risk starts to go towards the town, if there's water damage or anything, we just keep putting that's not a threat, that's where the project is. And
So how long will it take to research whether or not this is a
Highway
highway
commercial.
commercial or residential piece of land? I'm looking at you
somebody.
two.
Yeah, I mean, things are being shot down and we're not
But-
getting clarification of what's highway commercial, what's residential. We're sitting here and we don't have a clear definition of what's highway commercial. And this whole situation with the hecklers is based around, is it highway commercial? And nobody's done the research before the meeting.
Well, we can research it. I mean, it's Mr. Heffler that found that it was highway commercial. So we guess we'll need to just go back. Ginger and I both remember when, I don't remember her last name, owned them, that they changed them.
Right now.
But right now, yes, is her name. But that's been a long time ago.
So in 2019, the town published in the newspaper that this property was highway commercial.
There's a copy of it right here.
Per what Mr. Heckler provided us when he asked for the variance.
Yeah, Tony, I can't answer that either.
Mr. Greenbaum, are you still with us?
July,
Yeah, I'm
2000.
listening intently. I've been listening intently, and I think this
Okay.
is a fascinating case.
Question that I have for you, Mr. Greenbaum, is the last printed city map shows this piece of property as commercial. There is nobody within our town, employees can verify that it has ever changed. They think it hearsay, but hearsay is not going to stand up in court. So to me, that's a commercial piece of land. I mean, that's the way I see it. Right?
I-
I mean, that's the last town map. That's the last town map that was printed.
July 4th, 2019, the public notice in the Madisonian says, with respect to these two lots, current zoning on these lots is highway commercial. Period.
I don't think we need to
July
continue
4th,
this.
2019.
Yeah, I don't, there is no reason to continue this in my opinion. I say we vote and let Mr. Heckler go.
I agree.
So the only thing I would chime in there, Christian, it sounded like there were actually 3 lots. Is that there
No,
were?
there were two lots, roughly 50 by 100 rectangular lots with the line in between the two of them running north and south. He did a lot line adjustment to take that middle line and run it east and west so that the ingress and egress could be on Pearl Street for both of them versus the highway.
And just to clarify, the house I bought was existing at 109 Pearl. That was dedicated on Rural Town Density lot,
RTD, okay.
RTD, and I think that's part of this RTD.
And is that lot
carryover.
3?
That's lot 3.
Okay.
Why did you submit for a variance application then if you're in highway commercial?
Well, that's the frustrating part for me to sleep with. When you're up to your elbows in alligators, you forget you're trying to drain the swamp. But what started this is that the delay of the project at 105 the building permit expired. And at that time, also the idea of changing from a manufactured home to a stick-built home came into effect because of access into the lot. So I did, or Shannon and I did, change the project. Susie was right to identify, one, that the original building permit had expired on all the delays, and two, what was being built was different from what the first building permit application was. The third point there is the footprint of what is being built over there now is smaller than the original building permit. The setbacks are greater than everything. And, you know, you sort of think no harm, no foul, but it did expire. I did have to apply, and Susie was correct in asking on building height and everything, and I responded to that, but it was 3 years or so sooner than I had forgotten that we had applied for residences on highway commercial land. And we went through all those requests too, which are in the packet, but I don't need to bore you.
Susie, is it reasonable to expect we can have a definitive answer on the exact zoning by Friday of this week?
I don't think we're in one place right now. I mean, we'll just have to, look and see what we can find.
Well, somewhere it would have to be in the town council meetings, right?
Yeah, like a needle in the haystack.
Who is the they that you've been asking for a new map from?
We've been asking for one for quite some time.
From whom?
Well,
Who produces this?
those came from, we get them from the county, but the GIS has helped us with our map, but those are so outdated that.
You can't change.
What, John?
Well, at the time, from July 19th, when the projects were all started, you know, if you want to say on July 19th, it was highway commercial. If you want to try to say you change.
Was this submit with your writing that
You
says
asked,
RTD?
you asked me, let me finish. And it was submitted, but now, you know, if you want to go change the zoning, let's say over on First Street you know, that's all grandfathered in. And, you know, you can see the sequence in my package of how this went.
If it was zoned on July 4th, 2019 as highway commercial, or when was that subsequent permit issued?
It's right there in the packet.
Request for zoning text changed.
Was on the zoning text change was October 10th, and on November 19th, I had it resurveyed, and that's when the lot line adjustment. The fence permit was on January 30th, 20th.
Yeah, I've got all of
The
that.
building permit was September 8th, 20th.
So on October 10th, on your document, application form for zoning or zoning text change, these two lots are right across First Street from Town Hall and are adjacent Highway 287 zone highway commercial. Changing the designation of these two lots from highway commercial to residential density will allow construction of residential units.
Well, you requested a change from highway commercial.
But it was not done.
It was not granted.
We need time to research this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel from you. What's the reasonable time to expect, since you're the one that's going to have to do the research?
Correct, I understand that.
Do you have all this, Susan?
I do not, I wasn't.
I'll give you a copy to Ginger. It was actually Christian's copy, but I couldn't get it to him in Nova.
So
Well, that worked
I have
out.
I have a question, everybody. John, why did you pursue a zone change from highway commercial to residential?
Well, what I was trying to do is to get acknowledge that I could build 2 residential units on highway commercial land. That was the schedule we were doing it. 109 was rural town density residential unit. I don't really recall the thinking process of working with Art. I know we talked about the pros and cons of what could or could not be done. But at the time, for the schedule we put in for putting 2 residential units on highway commercial zone land. That was what we officially did. And the town, as best of my knowledge, you guys can do all the research, there was no town motion or anything that changed those from highway commercial to RTD. It was more in trying to get the houses built for attainable housing. It was what Shannon and I were trying to do, and that's still what we're doing. So I think everything's there, and you can see I guess I'll call it confusion or the changes of what's going on, but it's more than just one story.
Right, but I'm just flipped open the town zoning book here, and so highway commercial is interesting. It's listed as a highway commercial is very interesting because it's listed as a non-residential district. So is that the reason why you were trying to change it to residential?
That's why in conversations with Art, he said you'll have to ask for a variance to build houses on highway commercial, and that's what we did. We submitted on that. That's exhibit, whatever it is. It was item number 4, and it's October 10th, 2019. Request for zoning text change. That's the one that's, and then it says, I keep good records, but I said, please note, we received no reply from the town of NSC Exhibit C. Nothing ever came back from that request. So, timing is everything, but it's just the records I have.
I will take on the project of going through the minutes. They're online. October 2019, when this request was made. Is that correct date? Until current. And I'll have that done by Friday. And then in conjunction with what Susie's looking up for the zoning.
Well, you know, there's been nothing this year.
Right. And I've already read 20 and 21, so. But I'll go back through them. It isn't going to take that long.
That's all right. I mean, it's just,
I am too. And I want to get it right. I don't, you know, if the zoning was changed, then we got to address it under that zoning. If it was never changed, that's a whole other ball of wax.
Well,
Commissioner Heckler, is your building
Maria,
tied in?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off anybody, but I think there's a bunch of questions that need to be answered. But one very important issue is not only when was the zoning changed, if it was changed, but what was this construction?
Say
I
that
don't know
again,
what-
you cut out.
Yeah, we're getting like a lot of crackling. Christian, are you hearing that crackling? Yeah, I don't know what's causing that. But, okay, so the question is, what is the current zoning? When was zoning changed? And what was so, okay, there was like some short. What was the status of the construction? See, in order for a project to be grandfathered, it has to have some, like the foundation's got to be in the ground. Okay? Just because you have an open permit doesn't really establish a grandfather status. So you have to look back at the history of when was construction started and what was zoning at that time.
this, okay, I don't have the exact dates, but this is the second residence of two that were built on highway commercial. The first one was started on 101 Pearl. I'm doing this from memory. You guys watched it come in and get delivered too. It was, I do it this way, the renter moved in about the 15th of April of
21.
2021. Construction started on that with foundation with Chief Croy and everything, and the sewer going in and everything, and the fencing. When was the fence permit?
But that's a different residence.
But no, but it was what he asked, when did construction start on?
No, when it started on the unit that we're having the
Well,
issue with.
It got delayed because of COVID, and I believe Chief Croy and Gordy started digging as soon as the winter thaw. It was mid-March
This year.
this year, finally, when they got in there, because it got delayed for COVID and deliveries before that.
So I motion that we table this based on the determination of how the property rezoned.
We already have that. Right.
Move forward. And if it's zoned highway commercial, he moves forward. He doesn't
Well,
need to-
Mr. Greenbaum brought up another scenario. If it's highway, it doesn't include residential. Or if it's commercial, it doesn't include residential, which
Yeah,
is,
but that was,
Well, it includes residential only through conditional use permit. So
okay, all right.
Yeah.
We've got to determine what the zoning was and what it is.
and the conditional use permit was turned into the town.
Right. And
And what happened with that?
That's what I said. I never got a reply back. Now, back then it was different staff members, and but in my records, I don't have any record of receiving that the town did anything with the conditional request.
and that's what I'm going to look for in the minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
just
thought it
another.
was the zone text change we were looking for. The town never did anything.
I'm going to look for anything that says heckler.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's pretty clear to me that, John, that the board here wants to do substantial justice and they want to expedite and clear this up for you. But as the town attorney, and I think the board members, they probably would agree with this, that there are just too many factual issues that are open at this time for them. How could they make factual findings when they don't even know what the zone is?
I'm in that boat with you, you know, there's a couple open-ended threads that one is I don't believe I didn't find anything, but I didn't spend a lot of time and I don't have a lot of time to look for a council action. I never did find one. And two, I did put in for conditional use permit on June 18th, 2019. You know, and then on paid money several times for application for a conditional use permit application, $500 in June 18th to not, you know, the paperwork's there. I just don't have the feedback on some of that. I don't.
All right. So take that to a vote.
Yes. All in favor of continuing until we can determine the zoning and have an opportunity to review all the documents. We already did that. We seconded it. We all in favor?
Tony's motion.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried.
Just let me know.
Are you in town next week?
What's next week? I'm sure.
Week of August 8th.
I have so much county stuff.
If we schedule a meeting at 5 p.m. one day next week, does that sound reasonable? Okay. Yeah, we're hoping that we don't have to get to
Well,
that, but
that's okay, and I understand.
thank you.
You should have heard some of the stuff I had to hear today. This stuff's easy compared to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right.
Shannon, don't forget your purse.
Unless it's loaded with cash and pizza.
It is.
Yeah, thank you.
See ya.
Susan,
I attempted to call Mr. Copeland and no response. I can give my staff report if you'd like.
that would be good. I think we're here.
The next one going to be easier or what?
Well, the applicant isn't even here.
Oh,
Is it all right if I sit here?
Sure.
And as you can see, my staff report is short and sweet with this one. So it was with the other one also. So the Ron Pippin Investments has submitted a variance application for setback requirements for a storage warehouse. The site for the proposed development is Block 3, Lots 4 through 6 of the Conley Addition. The applicant has stated the intent to construct storage warehouse units, 8 units, 25 by 30, each within the eave height of 16 feet and a door height of 14 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance from the front setback from 50 feet to 29.95 feet, rear setback from 25 to 20 feet. Ennis-Towne code regulations allow an applicant to request a variance to allow for deviation from the literal interpretation of the requirements of the regulations. Variances may be granted if the request is determined not to be contrary to the public interest and where, owing to special conditions, literal enforcement based on these regulations results in an unnecessary hardship, excluding financial hardship. Property was annexed into the Ennis city limits on December 9, 2021. Mr. Pippin was granted a conditional use permit on May 19, 2022 from the Ennis Town Commission. Conditions of the conditional use is that they obtain a variance for setbacks. The Zoning Board of Adjustments has the ability to approve, deny, or conditionally approve any variance.
Susie, what's your take on this request?
Well, I kind of cadastraled it today because it's I'm not sure if you're all familiar with where it's at, but it's just south of the Madisonian. The property was posted, so it's just bare land there. He'll be using Hugo Street, and I think you all have like a little drawing in there. And so they do set back a long ways. This is an old one. I guess I don't have any preference either way.
Where do we have drawing of?
It should be in your packet.
In your email that
Oh.
you got 2 weeks ago.
Hey, Susie, I have a question for you, Susie.
Okay.
My question is, why are there bathrooms in these storage units?
You mean you're wondering if he's going to be, actually it's pretty typical, like the storage units that are behind the True Value in that area, all of them have bathrooms, just
The shops have bathrooms, the storage units do not.
Yeah, storage unit doesn't have that.
Yeah, the storage units don't.
I don't know, the ones I looked at did have bathrooms in them,
The
so,
ones in the immediate perimeter,
right.
True Value.
So,
Yeah.
so my question is this guy building it, pulling the wool over our eyes, putting bathrooms in? That's pretty elaborate for a storage unit in my book. You know, if the building had 2 bathrooms for the entire building, it wouldn't raise a red flag to me. But the fact that each unit has its very own bathroom, to me, looks like we're going to get the wool pulled over our eyes, and he's going to use this. He's going to get a permit for a storage unit, but it's going to be used for something else.
Well, what we're meeting on is just the variance on the setbacks. The commission has already granted him a conditional use permit for the storage units. So only the only thing we're addressing at this meeting are the setbacks. I mean, I guess you can question
Yeah,
what
but
they're
we
going
can.
to do.
Yeah, we can
Those
still
are-
question. I mean, what we need to understand what the building is being used for, whether we're going to give him a setback variance, and if he's going to turn it into a hostel, then that changes the whole view of the project.
And it
Correct.
doesn't mean the owner would even approve that use or promote it.
So maybe, because I did attempt to call Mr. Pippin. I stepped out after I got done talking about Mr. Heckler's, and he did not answer. So maybe you could table this one so Mr. Pippin could answer those questions other than
Yeah, I
myself.
think we need the owner. Yeah, I think we need the owner here for that.
These look more like workshops than storage units.
And that was my thought. I concur, Kirk. But I was waiting to see this staff report and see what they are referred to as, and it says storage warehouse.
Yeah. So I think we need to see the owner. I think we need to interview the owner.
Yeah.
Industrial storehouse warehouse is what he's calling them.
He's calling them industrial warehouse.
I believe so.
This says storage warehouse,
Yeah, these look like the units behind True Value where our shop is at.
except that they've got bathrooms in them.
Ours has bathrooms.
Does it?
Yeah, the shops were like True Value's workshop.
Right,
and all that.
immediately,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I concur that it's a shop
But this
area.
is a building where you drive in, you
Mm-hmm.
get parking, and then you get your all undercover.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't sound like a storage.
No,
No.
it's more like a workshop.
And maybe that's just a misnomer in terms on the part of
It
the
says
owner.
commercial industrial warehouse is what it says.
That makes sense.
Somewhere.
I think we need to interview the owner or the builder.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not available. Storage,
But, so, Mr. Greenbaum,
Sir,
um, so my question to you is, if the town commission has granted conditional use permit and he's answered all those questions, and our role is to grant is to approve or not a variance, can we say it's because of we don't like what the purpose of the building is?
it's a very good question. Number one, personally, I would like to see the conditional use permit. I think that the board, you all should see that conditional use permit. If you've not seen it, you need to see it and review it and then understand what was approved. And I imagine it was conditionally approved on the condition that they get a variance among other things. Okay?
Right.
Now, as far as the dimensional setback variance, I think there's probably sufficient leeway in the criteria for granting a variance that if you found that regardless of whether or not the commissioners granted a conditional use permit allowing it, you could still find, contrary to their determination, that approving this variance does not meet the spirit of your comprehensive plan. Uh, Mostly, though, you'll find when you review these variance applications that the most difficult criteria for an applicant to meet generally is establishing that there's something unique about the particular piece of land that makes it necessary for them to seek the variance. Now, I'm not saying variances shouldn't be granted. I mean, variances are allowed. They are allowed, but they have to meet the criteria. And the reason for variances historically is that when towns create zoning, one size does not always fit all. And there'll be, that one sliver shaped piece of property, or there's the one piece of property that's got the creek running through it. It's like no matter what you do, you can't configure a reasonable, usable structure on that site. In this instance, I don't know. I'm not looking at the map. I haven't seen the survey. I don't know the extent of the dimensional setback. They have the burden, though, to show that this dimensional setback, the variance, is necessary because of something unique to this particular parcel. I don't know if that helps.
Does.
so I do have,
Thank you.
sorry, I do have the minutes from the council meeting on the conditional use permit, if you would like me to read those, if that would help. Or if not, okay. I hate to say, but it was a difficult conditional use permit to compile for myself. But he's been, this Pippin project is one of them that's been to the county during that period of time and then sent back to us. He kind of got caught in that loop, so it's been a long going one. But anyway, here's the minutes. Hardy moves to approve. Palmerton seconds. No public comment. Commission comments. Ransom stated major site plan should be required due to the size of the lot being larger than 5,000 square feet per code 11420C. Also has concerns with no parking conditions. She states that according to the town code, property needs to be paved, striped, and stormwater drainage plan provided. Ransom like landscaping plan provided with a conditional use and not prior to permit. Pippin comments on precedents set by the town not requiring other projects to follow conditions listed on for his project. Hardy comments in favor of xeriscape. Ranson amends previous motion to include condition 14, parking shall follow town code 11.4, 10 feet. Hardy seconds. Pippin comments that the town should review the restrictions for the setback for lots under 1 acre. Mayor votes, oh, wait a minute, mayor calls to vote, I'll vote yes. That's it. I know.
Susie, do you have the application for the variance?
Yes, for the variance, yes. They also
Okay.
have the application.
All right. So how did the applicant answer question A? What unique property conditions prevent you from using the property in conformance with the zoning ordinance requirements? What unique property conditions exist? How did they answer that?
Well, he made it in the form of a letter, and you also have it, Mr. Greenbaum. I did email it to you. It says regarding the facts of hardship for the attached zoning ordinance variance, they are as follows. The front side 50-foot setback is a hardship due to the under half an acre lot size in light of the 50-0 setback. This creates a loss of utility and value to remainder of the property caused by excessive setback requirements for this under 1 acre parcel. The only ordinance requirements that I can find published are for 1 acre and above. Please consider the setbacks as presented per the drawing as submitted. And I can tell you what he states there is true, because it does say for 1 acre in the zoning setback chart.
And how much of a variance is he asking for?
In the front, from 50 to 30, so 20 feet, and he needs 5 feet on one side, or in the rear.
Thank you.
How far back the London that, so it's from somewhere where we're measuring.
I tried to cadastral it today to look, but they're entering from off of highway, and then like to go to the Madisonian building, they actually, I don't know if they cut through what would be considered the laundromat property.
I'm not interested in Madisonian, I'm interested in the London. How close is that? Because that's closer to the center line than Madisonian is.
Center line of, but that's not his front. His front is on Hugo. Yep.
I wanted to elaborate a little bit further on that question. Was that from Tony before the question?
Yes. Thank you.
There was, the question about whether, based on the conditional use permit, can you consider the actual use in reviewing this application? So I think just generally speaking, if the property is used for something that's non-compliant, I mean, that becomes a zoning enforcement issue, right?
He received a conditional use permit, so storage warehouse is a conditional use under the zoning.
Yeah, but I think the issue was whether, the fact that there are like these individual bathroom facilities that, there's potential that he's going to start using it for some other purpose other than that's granted. And if that did happen and you received a complaint about that, Susie, as a zoning administrator, you would issue a compliance notice, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
It's my understanding that subject is outside of our purview. Okay.
What was explained is a little bit confusing to me. According to this, the little blueprint they sent, he's showing 30 feet from the edge of the building to Hugel and 20 feet to the Madisonian property. It's showing, it doesn't give the, well, it shows 41 feet from the front of the building towards 287. I went out this afternoon, and from the alley to the east to the pavement is 200 feet. And so it looks like he's, if he's asking to drop back to 30 feet, he's almost got enough room for the 50-foot distance from the front of the building to the edge of the highway. I don't know how much the right-of-way is. I think John Heckler said it's 30 feet from the center of the highway, state owns. So that's going to play into that a little bit, but he would still have plenty of room. I would say if he had 35 feet, it would still be off the state right-of-way.
Yeah, his variance is requested, the front of his building is facing Hugel Street, not the highway.
So the request for the change is from Hugel.
To the front of his building.
So he's asking for,
Yeah, he's got plenty of room in the back on the highway side.
okay.
On the west.
Well,
I take that back, it's 5 feet more he needs on the back side.
if the back is facing 287, the highway,
No, the back is facing the Madisonian.
yeah, that's what it looks like here.
Correct.
Yeah,
It looks like it's right up to the Madisonian.
but he's got parking to the west and to the east.
That's in the building.
That's in his,
That's in the
That's
building.
inside of the building?
no, in his lot.
Yeah, that's in the lot. That's not, the building,
Oh.
it plainly shows entrance man doors and automobile roll-up doors. So he's showing here on the plat, 41 feet of parking in front of the building towards 287.
No.
So I'm
Oh,
confused
you're
on.
correct, I'm sorry. I was looking at it backwards. So he's got 20 feet on the Madisonian side.
Yeah.
He's got 40 feet on the highway side. He's got 29 feet on the Hugel side and 38 feet on the alley side.
Right. I went out with my rangefinder and it shows 70 yards from the alley to the edge of the pavement, and from Hugel to the Madisonian, 50 yards. So that 70 yards is 200 feet. It looks like he's probably got enough room to do what he's got within that 200 feet. If you maybe minus the 30-foot right-of-way from the center line of the highway. So I don't know what the right-of-way is. I've tried to look up the.
Yeah, these measurements have to be from property line. But we can't consider.
So his property line does run to the state right-of-way. See, that's what you don't know. You don't know how much the state right-of-way is.
It needs to be state, so
Yeah.
that we can see where those property lines are.
Yeah. Well, I can't find anywhere. I've tried to Google state highway right-of-way, and it's nothing
Well,
listed.
just down from there, towards that camper corner, where those, I don't know, jackleg fence, is that what they call
That's
them?
Capricorn,
Or,
the old Elkhorn.
Elkhorn Trailer Park, where they've got those jackleg, that is the state highway that did that.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you a little visual right there. I don't know how wide it is, but it's visual.
Yeah, right to the highway side of his property.
Yep.
Okay.
There should be property tombstones out there on the corners of the lot, correct?
Or, yeah, there should be.
And that should be the very boundary of his property line.
Yep.
I couldn't, the grass is so high I couldn't
There should
find
be,
anything.
is it a requirement that there is? Do you have to have pins set? Do you require that?
If they're doing something right on the property line, yes. But, so how am I going to tell? Like over in the North 40, they're all marked and I measure them. But I actually haven't, other than to stake this property and to post it, I didn't look for property pins.
So,
It would be that that would be a requirement that when they start construction, the town has the right and should be.
Checking setbacks, yeah.
so I make a motion to table this discussion and this vote until the next meeting when Mr. Pippin shows up and answers questions.
And
I'll second that.
discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor of Tony's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, schedule our next meeting. Next, does anybody have a suggestion? I'd like to do it sooner rather than later, but after, perhaps sometime after Friday. Give Susie, Ginger time to do their research.
End of next week. Middle.
Okay, so if it's Thursday, we can do it Wednesday, is that too early for you?
No,
Kristen?
Wednesday's fine. Wednesday's fine.
I'd rather do Wednesday.
Okay.
That'll work.
Wednesday at 5, is that a good time for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, we'll meet next Wednesday at 5. Mr. Greenbaum,
We
Well,
don't
wait a
have,
minute,
wait, we may not have enough time.
we don't have enough time.
post what?
Post our meeting
What's our meeting? We have to post the meeting.
in the paper.
Post today's Tuesday. Oh,
No, we don't have time. We have to post it,
It has to be in the newspaper?
yes.
So let's have out the,
So Friday? Well, we missed this week's paper. Deadline was yesterday, it was actually not Friday. So their deadlines are Friday.
And, next week is the fair, so, I could do, I would probably jump and scream if you did a Friday meeting. Unless I could,
so
I
I,
second that.
yeah.
so can we get,
15th or 16th.
can we get it in next week's paper and do it on the 16th?
What day is the 16th?
Tuesday.
On Tuesday?
Who does?
Jim, you have something to say?
Yes, I was going to point you to your town code 11-5-1, 11-5-1, and it's paragraph 5. A public hearing will be held, and it requires published in the town's newspaper at least 10 days prior to the public hearing.
Yeah, so we.
So
it'll be in the,
a continuance of this meeting would be considered a new meeting.
Every time that you meet is a separate public hearing. Yeah, it's a continuation of this hearing, but it's a public hearing. So yes.
We can get into the paper? The 11th? Friday. This Friday.
The 5th.
yeah, so it'll be published on the 10th, the 11th.
Yeah, they say the 11th. But that's not the 5th.
25th.
So Saturday the 20th is 10 days.
So how about
But if
22nd?
we published it the 11th,
Yeah.
that would be
22nd.
22nd and 23rd.
I am actually at court for 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
looks like the 22nd is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 22nd. Makes it cool.
I don't know for sure. But I think that my evenings are free, so I can certainly appear for you.
So Monday the 22nd, 5 p.m.
Site.
Christian, Mr. Greenbaum, 22nd at 5 p.m.
22nd, 5 p.m. works.
Okay.
Good for me.
All right.
So
Thank
the
you.
only information that the zoning board is requesting for us at this time is clarification on Mr. Heffer's property.
What was the zoning when you started construction and what was the zoning when we
What's the zoning lease over there?
Okay, anybody have any further business they want to discuss? I thought this was gonna
No.
be so short. Yes, thank you all.
Second.
You made the motion, you seconded it. Thank you.
All right.
Motion
Can I go
passed.
back to bed?
We all voted yes. You go to bed now, Christian,
Good night,
All
buddy.
Oh, what time is it there?
like 3 a.m.
Oh, no.
It is 2:43.
What? Where are you?
I'm in Norway.
Oh my God.
Will you be back at the next meeting?
Yes.
Man, you should be like showing pictures. Turn the camera outside.
It's dark. Well, no, it's not. I'm above the Arctic Circle. It's actually still light outside. So, all right.
Are you there? That's crazy. What are you doing?
Visiting family. I have my 92-year-old father back here with me. So,
Oh, that is fantastic. I've always wanted to go to Norway. It's like my bucket list.
it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Good night.